Now, I'd like to welcome on stage from one of the headline sponsors for today's event, the Group Manager of Innovation from ArcelorMittal. Please welcome Terrence Harrison.
Right, good morning, everybody. Welcome here. This won't be a long opening because I think we want to get on with the events of the day, which seem to me to be pretty exciting. So as you've heard, my name is Terrence, and we are the headline sponsor for the day. And I'm very passionate about learning and development. I've always been in that field since I was very young, so I've been doing it a while. And it's something everybody in this room needs to get into. And there's a concept out there of lifelong learning, and it's something you need to embrace. It's not something you can take lightly. You haven't arrived when you've got your qualification, you've come from uni and you've finished. No, you need to go on. So I just want to go through a couple of things today. And the first is the actual theme. So I'm just going to read that out and let's just analyze what we're going to get out of this workshops. So predictions for the world of 2025. Okay, and that's not that far into the future. The insights from its leaders, present and future. What will the global landscape look like for our leaders of the future? How will they shape and mold it? I mean, do they even know what it will be? We will hear from South Africa's most talented young employees, and the Rising Star concept is for those under 40s in terms of competition. So don't worry if you're over 40, that doesn't mean you're not allowed to be in the venue. The whole idea is to come and learn from each other. And from the next generation. All right, we've had lots of generations that have come through, from the silent generation through the baby boomers, etc., right down to the millennials. Okay, so we'll probably have a number of generations in this room, I think stretching from the baby boomers right down to the millennials. A lot of Gen Ys as well. And they've all got their own characteristics. So I would be quite keen to hear from everybody, specifically the younger generation. They're the ones that will be shaping the future, and they will be the ones leading it in the future. So within the ArcelorMittal context of our group, global group, we always talk about developing tomorrow's leaders today. So I'll keep to that, developing tomorrow's leaders today. It's a nice thing to think about, and that's exactly what we need to do. Okay, so leading in this era, we have dramatic change of late. What attributes will these people need to stay competitive? I'm not going to answer these questions, but these are the kind of things that we will be exposed to today through the different sort of breakaway session workshops that will be held, through the keynote address that will be held. We'll glean a lot of this additional information. And irrespective of your age, you can learn from all of these aspects. And before I end, I will just touch on a couple of these attributes that I feel are quite important and where we need to work at as a country. All right, so if we go to a report done by the World Economic Forum, it reveals, and you probably know this, that about 65% of the jobs that primary school kids in South Africa will get to don't exist today. 65% of those jobs do not currently exist. So that's not a long time. I mean, 12 years of schooling, go to varsity for 3 or 4 years, and the job doesn't exist. So it just talks to that VUCA world we're living in, and it talks to the agility that we require in order to adapt to the kind of conditions that we're going to be faced with in the future. So both the workforce, irrespective of where you work, as well as our environment is constantly changing. Okay, and we need to change with that. So what are these effects? What are the effects of technology? Because technology is one of the big impacts for us. But what are those effects of that technology and the environment that is changing? I mean, we can use a lot of phrases. There's things like AI. You've all heard a lot about AI of late. Two ways of looking at AI. The one is artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence. And a lot of people are leaning towards the augmented intelligence rather than the artificial intelligence. Quite often today, if you actually phone a call center, you're not speaking to a human. AI has really come quite a way over the last number of years. We've got self-driving cars coming soon, already here in certain areas. We've got Mars. So there's a lot of exciting things happening right now. And we're part of that world, so we need to embrace it. So I'm really looking forward to the speakers of today and the young talent that are here. And I've said it every year, I'm just going to say it again. South Africa has talent. All right? Yes. And I know that might sound like a TV series, but it's not. South Africa really does have talent. So please don't stand back at all. Being part of a global group, and I think a lot of you might also belong to global groups in terms of the workplace, we really don't need to stand back. Okay? Just in terms of, and I'll quote one thing within our group, just looking at the HR practices, HR systems, we're kind of the leaders in our group. I mean, we had SAP in place before the rest of the group actually knew what SAP was as an ERP system. So we're there, and we're there because there's certain reasons why we have to be there. And one of them is we need to learn and we need to develop, because our educational system is unfortunately failing us, and it's under-preparing our young learners leaving school for the world of work and for the world of universities. So as you go along today, please support the breakaway groups. We'll be having one great breakaway group here, and the other one, SAS will be presenting on Leaping Forward, Talent Leaping Forward. So please attend the ArcelorMittal one as well as the Sasol one. The ArcelorMittal one will be on basically the sustainable pipeline of engineers for the future and becoming autonomous in terms of your skills and not relying on the market so much. Then we're going to go into our keynote address, where we look at the mega trends and predictions for 2025. And that'll be presented by Hans Zakar, who's the Managing Director of Accenture Technology Strategy, South Africa. So that's also going to be something I think we should all look forward to seeing. And then another 2 panel discussions where we have some of our young talents, some of the young talents that have actually won their divisions in the recent Rising Star Awards. So I'm quite eager to look forward to that, to see their thinking. And going into the latter part of the day, we're also looking at how do those millennials want to be led? And that's quite an important factor, because you know the old greybeards, the whitebeards, the greybeards, the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, they sometimes don't know how to handle these young people entering the workforce. And there's a lot of stuff written on generational theory, which is a theory, but it's not a bad theory, right or wrong, and how you should handle them. So I get a lot of questions from our young talent in the company saying, we've got a manager, but they actually don't know how to handle us. We young talent, they're not talent. They can't handle us. We on different planets. And it's right and it's wrong. And if you're one of those Gen Xers or baby boomer managers and you need to brush up, please listen to what the millennials are asking for. Because what you do want in the workplace is an engaged workforce. So don't write them off and say, you will do the filing for the first 3 months, and after that, keep quiet, just do what I say. Doesn't work. They're not necessarily looking for trouble if they give you a lot of lip, because it's actually great. They're asking questions. And one thing I really fail to understand, as a Gen Xer myself, baby boomer, cusp kind of person, the people entering the workplace are the millennials. Most people of my age have children, which are really in that age group. How do they then not know how to handle those people in the workplace? So it's just something to think about. But there's 2 sides to every story. Okay, so let's all support those panel discussions. And then Duke University put out a report that social media and marketing budgets are projected to increase by 21% over the next 5 years. Now, that's good news for that industry, the social industry. But as a manager who might not be as agile and not that great with technology, because a lot of them are not, it can be kind of feel there's a bit of unease there. They could be overwhelmed. They've heard things, the Internet of Things. They've heard about the AI space and how AI is taking over and how AI is going to replace jobs, the digital workplace. So guys, ladies, if you're out there, stop, breathe, reboot your hard drive, and just chill and take it in. You'll get there. It's really not an issue. I saw an article the other day posted on LinkedIn. It was a great article by the Singularity Hub. And what the article was about was the 7 survival skills required for the future. And I think this links so nicely into what we're saying. What are we doing in the 2025 era? What is it that we're looking for? Now, there's 7 things, and let's quickly take you through those 7 things. The first one is critical thinking and problem solving. Then collaboration, agility, innovation, communication, analyzing, and curiosity. And I just want to go back to those 7 things and just link it back to our South African context and our educational system. Critical thinking, problem solving. What is the single subject that you need to do that? Mathematics. We are very happy when we pass mathematics with 35% at a grade 12 level, not knowing 65% of the work. I really would not like a surgeon to operate on my heart if they passed with 35%. All right. So, we've got a problem in the country and we need to address it after that. And if you listen to the ArcelorMittal presentation, you'll actually see how we're trying to address this problem. But it's quite critical. Any country in the world where they're really progressing, where they've really got problem-solving ability, go look at the mathematic marks in their sort of grade 12 level, and you'll see they do well. Very well, actually. Presented a paper in Croatia, and they'd just come out of the communistic times, and they said to me, wow, it's just bad now. But why? No, everybody's studying whatever they want to. So that's nice, that's good. No, but they're all studying the easy things. Remember, this is an electrical engineer. They're all studying the easy things. Well, what is that? No, they all want to become doctors and lawyers. So to that mathematical mind, those are the easy subjects. We might have it reversed in South Africa. Collaboration is the second one. We need to collaborate with each other. It's very important. Break down the silos. And let's look at ourselves in terms of collaboration. It might be a plus point, but it might be a negative. Do we know how to collaborate? Or is our device our network? It can be a good thing, because then you can collaborate using your devices, but it can also be a stumbling block if we're not able to socialize. So quite an important point there for our millennials as well. Usually when I go to a restaurant, there'll be a boyfriend and a girlfriend sitting across from each other on the table, and I don't know if they're messaging each other, but they're not talking. But they're on their phones all the time. So have a look at that, because you do need to collaborate outside of that sphere. Agility is the third one. We need to be agile. We need to change very quickly. And we're living in that volatile world, that VUCA world. So we need to be able to do that, otherwise we won't survive. The next one is innovation. And here there's a lot of research done through generational theory. And if we look at the millennials and the Gen Ys, what you actually find is they're consumers of technology. They're not innovators of technology. So if you're a consumer only of technology, try and change that and become the innovator of technology. All right? So I have a lot of Gen Ys that often give me lip and say to me, yeah, but we are so tech savvy, ha, 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 ha. And my answer to that is, yes, you are. But our generation designed that technology for you. So never shoot one generation down. We all have our role to play. It's like I always say, in an army, if you take an army, any army in any area in the world, what's the most important position in the army? And you probably get answers, the general, the this, and that. It's not. It's the chef. Because an army cannot run on an empty stomach. We all have our place, so please understand that. Communication, absolutely, it's all about communication. However, I'm slightly worried on the communication front because communication and a complex language is what gives you your cognitive ability. Looking at our schooling system, a lot of people leaving grade 12 can't actually write very well. And I know it might be their third language, if it's English they're writing in. But that's also something we really need to build on to get our communication. That's your written communication as well as your oral communication. You need to drive that. Then analyzing. I think the millennial grouping is quite good at getting the information and analyzing, but often managers say, you're great at finding it, you're great at analyzing it, but what are you going to do with it? And that's kind of the stumbling block. Oh, what do we do with it? So analyze it, but use it for what we need. And then the final one is the curiosity, okay? And we need to ask questions. We need to be childlike and keep asking the questions. And that takes me to the final quote of that article, which is going to link back to the curiosity. And that is, there's a stark contrast between these 7 survival skills and what our basic education department is focusing on. I mean, think about that. Critical thinking, collaboration, agility, innovation, communication, analyzing, and curiosity. Are we teaching our kids that from grade 1 up until grade 12? It's an open-ended question. So what should the focus be? So we shouldn't be teaching our students to only answer questions. We should teach them to ask questions. And that goes back to our curiosity. Because if we don't have the freedom to ask questions, we're not going to be curious. If we're not curious, we're not going to innovate. And it's a snowball effect. And then the final piece is, instead of preparing our children or the younger generation for universities, we should prepare them for life. And it'll all fall into place. So that's it from me. Thanks very much for attending. Please support all of the different panel discussions, breakaway sessions. And once again, welcome here and take it in for the benefit of the country. Thank you.